once was a group long ago that took all of its game to decide how it would split itself down the middle. It is not a kindred of groups, but it is Group D of the EMEA Masters. Welcome back, everyone, to a game which is deciding no tiebreakers or 3 tiebreaker games in a 4-way tie. We will get the specifics of how that will work out if the eventuality happens, but it comes down to one game between Team GO from the LFL and NASR from Turkey.
Yeah. If NASR win, they save themselves. It's in their hands. They also save the fates of Unicorns of Love, Sexy Edition, and they bring us a 4-way tie with every single team tied at 3-3, that fabled 4-way tie. My body is ready. My voice may not be, but we're all going to be here. And my God, the games will roll. On the other hand, if GO win, they secure first place. Movistar Riders then take second because they'd have the 2-0 head-to-head over the Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. And that will be the end of it. And the tiebreaker scenarios are non-existent.
So what that means is we have ourselves a very tense last game of the regularly scheduled games for Group D here as well. And of course, at the end of the day, when this group ends, we'll also have ourselves a draw show for the top 8 as well beyond that point. So absolutely stay tuned for whatever ends up happening throughout the rest of the day today. There's still an awful lot to go. And I think particularly for a team like NASR, which has taken wins versus the Movistar Riders, but none of the other teams in this group, they need to find some of that success again. We know they have some of the history there. We've already talked about a little bit with Fab Fabulous. He's been around playing since, well, technically Season 3, but I remember seeing him first in Season 4 Worlds alongside the likes of Holy Phoenix and the rest of them. It is one last draft, one last game to see if we have this extension.
NASR on to the blue side, Team GO over on the red, and a couple trees already on the chopping block, all puns intended. Ivan and Maokai denied from the respective junglers.
They are Linsis and Takui going to be banned away with that Talir. Technically, it is a double ban. Linsis, very powerful Talir player of last
Diana
year.
As well.
We have seen a couple of players try and pick it in the EMEA Masters as well. Not a great success, but it is still a little bit in and around the place beyond that point. So we're now looking at champions like Rumble, which is still through. We're looking at Tristana, which has now been removed. That one, I think you can understand why that one is permanently removed. And then we're starting to move into maybe some of our priority AD carries as well.
LeBlanc ban finally away from Whistle. Very strong pick that's kind of fallen out of favor from its near perma pick ban status a couple patches ago, but it's still very strong. But it's not the Shiv Night Harvester terror that it once was at the very height of those items' powers. Either way, it's still on the ban table. Don't want to allow it over. Rumble up. Rumble first picked. Now see what GO want to go towards. Is it going to be something like the Sejuani for Linsis again?
Potentially could be. Linsis, of course, lost with that earlier on the day, but it wasn't necessarily their fault. Rel, that's a pick which we've not seen get through the draft that much. I was wondering what other power picks we had removed on the table, or left on the table as well. Not on our end, anyway. The thing about that Rel, which we keep mentioning, it's a jungle support flex. Only Maokai can do that as well. When you're on red side, you can hold that through to the very last pick. And if you have something which, something like the Poppy, which has been banned, or so there are a couple of the picks which can go between top lane and jungle too, that means you can have even 3 roles ready to pick or counter pick at the last pick.
And there's that Sejuani they're debating between. It is locked in, so it's no longer be that flex, but it is a very powerful combo regardless, right? Because one sets up for the other super well, and now you've got that kind of frontline and engage to set up some pretty high ordnance carries should you wish to go for it.
Kai'Sa on the table. Zyra Khan also available too. Stuff like the Alistar, been very powerful this tournament alongside all those as well. I think that the Zyra is a pretty easy lock-in, especially when you see so much hard engage from the side of the Rel and the Sejuani. You want that ability to just hop over that, use that ult, and try and mitigate some of that engage, make them walk through those feathers as a minefield. Question is, do you feel like you need to lock in the Rakan right now, or something like that Alistar? I think that the Alistar is better at denying engage than someone like the Rakan. The Rakan can find engages beyond the range which Alistar can, but I think that Alistar, if you do lock that in, it's a very strong front line, which you're not getting from that Rumble in the top lane, and it also allows you to deny some of the diving entry.
And when we first saw that surge in Rel priority, Alistar was often the regular option into the Rel, because you kind of mitigate each other. One goes in and you kind of deny what they're trying to do at least somewhat.
Kind of changed with the rework from Rel, because what used to happen was Rel was all about landing her crash down, which Alice would just press Q or W should go away. It's not really the case now, because Rel can flash Q, and then in the duration of that, you still get the full combo.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it's quite interesting seeing that develop, because even when Rel came back into priority recently, we saw a lot of Alistar into it, and people started to play that matchup differently as it went on. We're seeing a lot more interaction and kind of mind games than we used to, where it used to be a lot more obvious about what you're supposed to be doing. Especially when things like the Samira are often being paired with the Rel as a kind of like, look at this scary combo, and Alistair wrecked that.
This one is Ezreal, though, as the pair, which is... Ezreal has been a soft counter to Xayah for a while, because yes, you get outranged a little bit by Xayah Q, or at least you can take some damage from it. But in terms of auto attacks, Ezreal can ping Xayah, the Xayah much easier with Mystic shots compared to Xayah autos, and something like the Alistair you can just E back from the engage as well. So Jezu, he has had so much success on this champion in the past. He has an okay draft for it too. Only one Arcane Shift, though, against quite a lot of threat already on the other side. There's an Equalizer and that Alistair. You need to choose very carefully what you are using your E on.
Certainly notorious enough on it to draw bans in it. The last game we saw back when they were playing off against Mobstar Riders back in the first game we were casting of the day, so back in game 4, but this time not going to allow it to get through to that stage. Just pick it up right here. As you said, one Arcane Shift will require a fair amount of deft piloting from Jezu to make this one work, but it's going to be the Yone, it's going to be the Azir banned out away from Takui, of course. Yone, Sejuani, scary combo. Don't want to leave that one up, but of course the Azir, very potent AP scaling threat.
And what they both are too, in the right situations, they can add into the burst and the wombo from stuff like the Rel and that Sejuani, which is why you're seeing stuff like that Annie being hovered potentially. You can see them being able to join that aggressive forward foot engage. Hovering the Ahri, locking in the Ahri, you will have a lot to talk about.
Oh boy!
Because they are joining the engage. There's an awful lot of CC, and they're currently really sole magic damage on their team. Yes, Sejuani does some as well with the permafrost stuff on the other side of that. Now on the other side, typically we've seen something like the Nico into that Ahri. Tristana, of course, does well too. We're going back to the Lissandra. Now it makes me question whether we're going to see a flex to something like Spellbook onto Kui's Ahri. That was the answer last year, and particularly in 2021, actually, when we saw a lot of the Ahri Lissandra matchup back then. Or, yeah, it was, actually, no, it was last year. What am I talking about? But either way, on that side, it means that you can stay safe against that Lissandra, because the Lissandra is there to basically just try and deny the engage.
Of course, we pulled out the Kindred Masks. Apparently, we were just foreshadowing because it's locked, and you want a double AD carry comp, you just need a double AD carry. Let me pull out the second mask. Here we go. Shout Lara Lunardi, who made those for us for when we cast on the LEC the first time again. Very cool.
It's a very special moment. And it would be such a special moment for NASR, of course, to get their first top 8 in EMEA Masters as well. I think the TCL as a region has, of course, won that spring tournament with the Dennisbank Wildcats as well. They did such an incredible run through that 0.5 game series up in that finals at the very end of it. But with that Kindred locked in, you have Lissandra Kindred. You suddenly have engaged from that mid lane, which should lock someone in place long enough for the Kindred to try and burn through. I think that if one of these mid jungles gets ahead, that will be absolutely snowballing out of control.
Yeah, and I do look at Team Geo's comment. I go, look, if this team gets snowballing, it looks great. Everyone's going to provide a certain amount of just raw base damage alongside an Ezreal that's going to kill a lot of people. If they start falling behind, though, you've got an Ezreal as kind of your only real kind of consistent damage threat, especially if the Ahri goes, heaven forbid, I know it'll give you conniptions and Everfrost build again.
Turns out that Everfrost doesn't stop Kindred from ulting. Just throwing that out there.
I kind of agree. It's kind of like Everfrost doesn't faze me when I play Kindred, just saying. So if they do start falling behind, you begin to worry about their damage kind of points. On the other side, a lot of burst. A lot of Lissandra goes in and everyone just piles on in whoever gets CC'd.
We are on to the Rift for the last regular game of the group stage. That might not be the case if this Kindred works out, if this Lissandra works out. Champions we don't see all the time nowadays. You have to be a bit of a specialist to pull off some of these picks. Lissandra had some buffs recently to get slows, even if her Q hits a target beyond the initial one. It does slow on the splash damage beyond that point. So maybe some chance to tag Takui in important moments. And Takui, as you pointed out, Sam, on our screen, has not taken Spellbook, has not taken Cleanse. You're pretty much guaranteed to have to take Mercury's Treads at that point.
Yes, and that's not necessarily going to be the most fun when you are into a couple AD carries as well. And Kindred is kind of one of those weird champions who has a bit of a bell curve, like inverted bell curve in terms of a power threshold. Really, really strong early levels. Incredibly potent at level 3 with that red buff, where you can just run at people with the slow on your E and just run people down and kill them. Go for those early invades, be very, very aggressive there. And then you're kind of waiting on those marks. You want to get to those 4 marks as fast as you can to make team fighting that much easier, just because your range before that point is quite limited. Some of your abilities require require that additional scaling to be truly threatening as the game goes on.
And what that will also allow you to do, particularly with those marks, with that range, as you're saying, is allow you to maybe stand at a distance where you can survive the initial engage. This game, if it does become about Typhoon doing damage and having the ability for your carries to do well, let's be honest, the only person who's tanky on the side of NASR is Patch on this Alistar, is going to be about killing a champion in the duration of the CC. And that CC has to silence them. I think that Takui needs to take some notes from Seiken, build damage on this Ahri, your Sejuani, your Rel, your Cassante. They need to be setting up for the likes of the Ezreal and the Ahri to blast someone out of existence before they can self-ult like a Lissandra, before they can ult as the Kindred.
That will be a huge, huge scenario to keep our eyes on. But we'll see whether it works out. Because, of course, what NASR also have is Q3 does go wide. It's like a lot of situational, I'll call it tankiness, but stasis, invulnerability between the Kindred ult and the Lissandra ult. And there's the Alistar ult, and of course you've got the feathers for Xayah, who can obviously Featherstorm and all that. So you've got ways to remain safe, but it isn't necessarily tankiness. It's just like, it's a bit like Gwen W or Xin Zhao R, where you kind of like, you can be tanky, inverted commas, but it's kind of it's a caveat to it.
It's like, it's easy to say, this person has defenses and HP, they are a frontline. It's a little bit weirder to say, this person has a gangplank barrel at their feet. That's kind of a frontline because you don't want to walk into range of the gangplank barrel. Same kind of thing, right? There's these other ways you think about it. And if they manage to use those skills well, it's important. We talked about the mid-jungle being a snowball option. Both junglers are here.
Here we go.
First.
Gonna go and make that one happen. It's a massive charm and Whistle's dead. What can Typhoon do? I just don't know whether there's enough left because of how quickly the mid laner died. They bow too early, and the counter gank happens, and Geo get first blood.
Linsus understands the assignment. Get the Ahri ahead, put the Lissandra down. Dies, has to use the teleport now as well. I think Takui will probably still do the same on this reset, but it's gold in pocket, and it's Whistle taking that first death of the game.
Of course, it was Linsus who had to flash, so that as additional summoner popped. But still, nice early win then. We'll get a reset and look at this, because actually, both junglers were there, both junglers wanted this.
They were, and neither jungler actually had full vision on each other. So, Linsus does flash, doesn't actually connect the Q, it's Takui with a charm instead. And this is where the bonus comes through. You didn't take the spellbook, took the electrocute. It allows you to take some heavy trades in the early lane, and goes back and buys a Dark Seal with the first back. Gets towards that snowball identity. I think that's very important in this game.
Very proud caster here.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
do you know how many Ahri Maokais I've seen do 0 damage this morning, Sam? It's very disturbing.
It's Sejuani this game. What are you talking about?
It's the same problem, Sam.
And again, we were kind of saying it in draft as well, right?
Little do you know, every time that happens, I walk over to like the piles of statues over there and just take someone's name onto that.
Hang on, Ragnar. Ooh.
Just about survives. Fine. No names taken in this top lane, however. We're safe. Overheating Rumble does so much work, of course, with those auto attacks, which were added in extra damage onto back in the day. I think it was MSI 2021 around that time, but we started seeing that coming out in the jungle. At that point, we're going back onto the Rift as the junglers yet again, though.
Of course, bottom Scuttlecrab was claimed by Linsus, which was the mark, but you can see Typhoon just wait a little bit and let it spawn on the top side of Scuttlecrab, so we're still claimed for
so that is a mark. You can hear that mark there. I was wondering, oh, is that a sad zoom in by the observers?
No,
it's a happy one. It's a very happy one.
It's good.
Sometimes the observers do like a little happy camera wiggle if they're having a good day.
Oh, how are you doing, observers? You having a good day? I don't know if they're listening. We'll find out. Do we get a happy camera wiggle?
I don't really want to tease them too much.
No, we could get in trouble for that. Hey!
They're happy. And if they're happy, we're happy.
Oh.
Remember, kids, if you're on the other side of the microphone, trust the people who give you your video. They can do great and terrible things to you.
Yeah, you definitely respect your producers. Otherwise, that way lies madness and bad edits of your audio. Oh,
that's the one. Okay, back onto the map, though. We can see the first map for Typhoon. We talked about the importance of them. An early level 4 mark would be very important for Typhoon to get that extra range, to stay an extra hair away from Linsus, Takui, Camillus as they dive towards them. First Dragon going towards the LFL team as well. We are looking at a very different game from just after that first gank, really, because Whistle and Typhoon, they would have loved to be able to start moving towards that first herald with their first ults of the game, but with the extra gold in pocket in the mid-jungle CB2 and some of the vision control being crept up into the enemy jungle by Team Geo as well, it's looking quite dangerous for them.
Does seem to be that way as Linsus once again just hovering, and this time he's brought his mid laner with him from the mid lane. Typhoon is here. This would be a 3v4. Typhoon in danger, does have flash, will have dance of arrows, but now Patch and Scorth in a difficult spot. Here we go, flash for the crash down, but Scorth stays alive. Already though, the Alistar dies. Camillus will be traded back, it's a 1-for-1. And now the damage continues to fly. Typhoon still just fine. Unfortunately, because the AD carry stays alive and gets the kill, you feel pretty okay about that one.
Takui, once again, understanding the assignment, gets kill participation just after pulling ahead in the individual lane, gets 2 stacks on the Dark Seal and a kill, still ahead of gold compared to Whistle. The thing with the Spellbook is that you're looking for a successful first fight of the game as well, because you typically change over to that Ignite, as we see in Whistle's pocket. Gives us the thumbs up. Sadly, not a thumbs up for that play, because it really was the mid-jungle snowballing from Team GO and moving immediately into a dangerous position. They hit level 6 on their mid laner. They know they have the numbers advantage. Yes, Typhoon is here, but it makes it very awkward for NASR to defend this. At least it's a 1-for-1, but it does feel like giving gold over to the mid-jungle, for me at least, it gives extra value to Team GO.
I agree on that sense, but I will also say that getting a kill on the Xayah, who survives and doesn't lose the wave,
a clean victory.
It is still pretty okay. Like, it could be a lot worse as far as trades go. Of course, you did burn both your summoners, and that's a bit risky. You should be kept to level 6 shortly. That should make you a little bit safer again, but maybe we'll see a return down there. Maybe it'll go a little cleaner the next time around. Of course. Now I can see it is nothing saying exactly what's going to be built in the mid lane yet, but I am seeing a lost chapter. So
well, that's good, because you need one of those items.
Yeah. So I'm just saying.
My call this game is in fact a Luden's Echo.
Okay,
I think at this point, because again, if you go for an Everfrost, it's good for setting up for a Vi or a Wukong, which does significant damage, but a lot of your team is not really going to be doing that. And when you're in a game with, as you said, so much kind of temporary front lines, and particularly with the mid-jungle of the Kindred and Lysandra needing to be able to be un-CC'd to cast their ult, and you can already see those Mercury treads coming through from Lysandra. It's even harder to CC them in place. You need as much burst as possible to just kill them before they get to hit their arbor.
Sees the more stomper in for the Kindred as well, who knows that staying a bit tanky and trying to survive the burst is pretty critical this game. Geo have started up though this initial Herald. Got themselves support and mid here, but I think the rest of NASR want to contest this.
Well, they have some good ultimates. The equalizers
goes to Lysandra, kind of gets interrupted, tries to get the ult off, does so. But how many time is fine? The equalizer is decent, but the burn is brutal onto Linces. We'll make it a 1-for-1 right now, but over comes Pat. The flash isn't that great from Wagner, who tries to go all out, but I don't know how far he can run. In comes the Trample, flash for the Flame Blast, but will just not be quite enough. Trying to get the Electro Harpoons on through the bot side. Score and Jezu trading on out. That will be the ult out from the Score, who gets flashed on by Jezu, trying to stay alive. The minions are body blocking, and that means Score should be able to win half an hour, but surely the Mystic shots can give it to fight. Misses! One final auto does it! And he just can't hit enough Mystic shots.
And he can't throw them through the minions. Score outplays on the bot side as his team outplays on the top. NASR lose the Herald, importantly, so there's still a lot of gold kind of in the bank for later from Team GO, but make no mistake, that is a big play to take across the map from the side of NASR. Another stack goes to Typhoon, some gold in pocket. That helps them a lot.
It does, and a lot of summoners popped on both sides, but critically you've lost quite a lot of those ultimates. You lose that duel on the 1v1 on bot side, and we'll get a look at this one because Jezu overestimates himself a bit here.
And the thing is, the only way you trade through a minion is either when you unlock your ultimate, which of course is not here at this point, or you hit that W for the E forwards. Jezu gets rid of so much of the damage, but Cannon's hitting him the whole time. Cannon is body blocking him the whole time. Score sidesteps the last one. It's a little bit of help from his friends. It's a little bit of help from Lethal Tempo. It's a lot of outplay from the AD carry.
And I thought when the feather pull got flashed, I thought Jezu might have it, but then the minions just absolutely turn into winions and is flipped upside down and causes some drama. Now into the mid lane we go. There is a Herald in inventory. Typhoon is here as well. I don't know what the plan is here.
Pouch has himself his ultimate now, as does Camilius. Some ultimates missing from Team G. Oh, this is all
over they go. Camille's trying to keep himself alive. Has thrown out a Magnus Storm. Whistle has to try back away. Now the teleports begin to fly. Down the range comes the True Shot Barrage. Patch just can't get far enough out. Whistle's dead as well. And it's a 2 for none in favor of Team GO.
Oh, it's such an over-engage from the side of NASR. Takui has flash.
Wow! Lands it! There's the ult into return though, so just about staying alive for now. Takui can't stick around to secure the kill, but does get out that very long cooldown from Kindred.
Close run stuff. Takui, you know what? If he hadn't gone for the cooldown boots and he went for Pen, there's a chance he actually killed that.
It was looking so good, you still throw in the flame.
As soon as it went back to ice, I was like, I wonder if he could have killed that. Because if that's the gameplay you're going towards, that's exactly the gameplay which is important to track later. Can you one-shot the Kindred before they can press R? You still get rid of that R key. It's still important. And Takui still walks away with 7 Dark Seal stacks. If he goes towards a Medjai's second item at this point, I think that really pays dividends for himself. Again, play for that burst. Team GO can walk away and forcing 0 tiebreakers. And the way they're going to try and play these team fights is try to punish the overengage this time.
They think they've got the job, but that ward over the wall gives a wonderful flank angle.
It does. Really look at Takuri in this fight too, because he gets multiple 2-person queues with the return on them as well. When you get a retreating fight, especially when you don't have a lot of mobility, you're often going to be eating a lot more damage from the Ahri than you expect beyond this point. Takuri has gone for the Liandry, so you actually do have a bit more damage in kit. It's going to be very important to burning down someone like the Alistair if they're caught out too. So Takuri, he's set to do a bit of carrying like Seiken showed us he could do in the other day.
Understands the assignment, and Nightmare nods in approval. Solid build for the game option, lands the charm. Don't find too much more, but we'll get a fair amount of chunk damage onto Whistle, who is not enjoying those Qs coming through as fast as they are.
The Liandry's burn damage, really quite nasty if you try and sit around a little too long. And Takuri really taking control of this lane, 2,000 gold ahead. It's so much on Scorth now for the TCL. Second seed coming in here, oh my word. They really would like to see themselves through to at least those tiebreakers. They'd love to see themselves through into the top 8, join the Istanbul Wildcats, who went 6-0 in their own group. It'll be so important for this team.
Reminder of the stakes involved. Geo win. There are no tiebreakers. It's just Geo going first. It is Movistar Riders off the head-to-head value against Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. They will go through a second. And NASR and Unicorns go home. They go home disappointed. And a catch like this on a patch might be a start. I'll get the ultimate out of the cow, not too much more. And then what I was about to say, if NASR win this, and the gold is still pretty close, even if some of these last fights have been a little bit dubious. If they do win this, drag us to that glorious 4-way tiebreaker scenario, and we are here for a couple more hours.
We have seen Stranger Things. That's a lot of damage in mid. Huh?
The TV show.
I mean, I've seen several seasons of it, but not all of it. You can see that there. Summoner heal forced. Oh. That's an all-in top side.
Fabulous, taken very low. One more Q would do it. That equalizer isn't bad. The burn's also good. Ragnar overestimated. Fabulous. Roasts him alive.
Oh my word, your champion might have been released, I don't know, just a year ago, but Rumble's been doing this for years, baby. Doesn't need an ignite. Fabulous. A player with such a long career showing us he's still got some chops.
And because of the teleports, you can see the individual gold lead have been starting to extend pretty heavily in that top side. A large reason why this gold has been so close. Demonic Embrace was well and truly complete
This
here.
is so fun, because Ragnar has so long been called, you know, the best top lane outside of the LEC. He's had some great performances in the RLs. Fabulous comes in for the TSL and says, hey, so I've had 5 international events of experience, and buddy, I know how to use them. Ragnar was 1 auto attack away. 1 auto attack away and can't make it work. Fabulous with a solo kill. Now it's him and Scorth with damage to bring to bear, and a lot of damage that is.
It feels like Ragnar in the last game as well. Didn't have the cleanest performance I've ever seen out in this game as well. Some good teleports, but that 1v1, a little bit dicey. Gets the wrong end of it, and now I'm looking at this Rumble and going, Demonic Embrace has got himself the Sorg Boots, is very, very scary indeed, and the gold remains pretty damn even. The Dragon stacking, very much in favor of the LFL. But on this time, still very much a game to play for NASR.
There's things worth noting. There actually aren't that many Mercury's treads on the side of Team Geo. Takuri went for the cooldown boots. We said, hey, maybe Pen would be nice in terms of one-shotting people, but Merc treads, when you haven't taken cleanse, are very helpful versus that Lysandra. We'll have to see how that works out bluntly. That at least you're only dealing with 1 hard CT target from the side of Lysandra. Maybe you say, look, if we just deal with them, we put them behind, which they have, that won't be an issue. We'll have to see how these item break fights come to bear. Last time we saw a big fight, NASR, they ended up over-fighting and diving into a lot of those resets from the Ahri got done down. Dragon spawning, Herald up, NASR going towards the Herald.
A lot of objectives to be contesting for, and that means I think we might be due another fight. Overcomes Alessandra from the other side, and Geo are definitely looking to contest.
Fabulous has ult, he's roaming up, he hasn't shown on mid lane just yet. See that Ragnar is also making his way up, both of them have teleports, but the teleport, by the time it completes, might have been outvalued by Fabulous going in.
Try and get in, that's a miss. Sejuani ultimate, pretty critical, and I think they'll have to back away knowing they've lost that really important ult.
It's very important for them. NASR, you know, they take that Herald, they get the local gold from it as well, and it's worth noting that with the leads on Scorth and Fabulous, they have themselves the gold lead. Fabulous still has Flash, he's not able to find the engage at that point, but the Herald in pocket, as much as we talked about the snowballing mid-jungle from the LFL team being very important, the overall gold very much in favor of the Turkish team.
I wondered there for a second whether Fabulous was about to find himself in the face of an iron horse, but that train didn't leave the station, all puns intended. And we've got 4 seconds and now an engagement to Linces. Big knock with a Jezu as well. Flash from Linces. He will stay alive and have a patch. Takes the wrong end of a couple Mystic shots. The Essence Flux as well doing its work. Takui is teleported back in. I don't know whether he's completed another item, but is certainly in position to be a little bit dangerous. Retreat from Lysandra, who now teleports back to the mid lane.
Does have himself level 11, getting us second ranks of the ultimates. Ragnar doesn't have that. Whistle picks up Leandri's as well. Has flash.
Gets it. Now, can they get any burn afterwards? No, not quite. It will still be Takui getting on out of there, but it's a lot of his health bar down. Alongside the ultimate, they will turn to the Dragon and know that Takui and all of his gold is not going to be much use in this fight.
Ult's flash, ult's burned fairly easily from the side of Takui. NASR take control of that area, and you can see when they get 5 members in the same place, especially with the burn damage from the demonic embrace of that rumble, and the Leandri's now built in as well, there's a lot of incremental damage will just start ticking up quite silently, actually. And then you look at his health bar a couple of seconds later and you think, oh man, it's really just gone. So, Team Geo, they're going to lose their mid lane out to turret. Jezu can't wave clear against that one, and as much as we were talking about Geo being in a healthy spot earlier, we've got to start talking about this gold lead being a problem for them.
Trying to get onto Fabulous, flashes the charm, and the flash from Takui burned in trade. Stays alive.
He does. At least those cooldown boots will give him some extra flash cooldown on the side of Takui, or cooldown reduction on that sense. Got taken away from Typhoon. How many marks is he on? You can see on the overlay.
Four. Just hit 4.
On the 4.
Just
hit
4.
I was just looking over there, hadn't checked in on that one for a while. It's a Triforce Kindred as well. Importantly, what Triforce does, it gives you a real sweet spot for AD carries that don't need crit necessarily to do damage. You have HP and you have attack speed. Not all of your mythic items give you as much stuff from that, especially with the Triforce giving you a little bit of attack speed and movement speed from its mythic passive too. It really scales up well in accordance to Kindred's kit throughout the game.
Yeah, I was about to look at those marks because I'd just been seeing it stuck in 3 for a little while, but while that attempted play on Fabulous was happening, Typhoon did manage to pick up that 4th mark from Jungle Farm, so now feeling very happy about this game. And the 4th mark is in prior at about the 18-minute mark. I know that was what Cyrene used to call the sweet spot, was 4 marks at 18, felt good in the pro level.
It's actually only got 1 mark, the others are called like Matthew, Luke and Sean. They've all got like no, actually, every time you take a mark on Kindred, you got to take a little register. It's like,
it's just a census.
Yeah, you know, is Alex here? Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
That's not Kindred though. That's like, I don't know, Jindred. Like, just your different Grim Reapers for different names. Kindred's just the one that deals with marks.
Funny you mentioned that because there's like the what the heck Jin Zhao that thing. So I actually ran into like it was an energy drink with gin on it. I was like, wow,
really? That's wild.
It's a Ginergy drink. That one, it helps you go 4 times as long in a day.
just an aside for the guys at home. I've seen this drink. I'm just adding the surprise for the home excitement.
Wow, you are the audience.
I know. Wow.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Incredible, Nightmare. Tell me more about Ginergy.
I will not. I'm actually not allowed to tell you more.
Why not? Do I have to be older again? Is this
I'll tell you when you're older. That's how it works. We are, however, getting to the point when the Rift is old enough to have a Baron on it. That's going to be spawning in 30 seconds.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Baron. Welcome to the Rift. Try not to enjoy your stay too long. These teams are really not that happy to have you on board for that long. Gold is within touching distance. We have second other items starting to come through. We have Banshee's Veil coming in from Takuri, which is... It's good for denying the denying the Lysandra ultimate if it's going to be a flash ultimate.
Yeah.
But again, I have this worry that when you're playing slower or lower damage RA builds, like something like that Banshee second, yes, you're going to be a little bit more safe, but if you're not killing your primary target before they get to push their ult button, it could be dangerous. Fabulous. I think he's got enough HP to fight out of this. I don't think you're going to walk into that even at a 1v2 at this case. He has a 2,000 individual gold lead, remember.
I wonder if they've had a ward over the wall, they might have felt confident enough to jump over the wall and start it, but not going to quite happen as yet. He does have the equalizer, won't feel the need to pop it quite yet. I wonder whether he'll do it on this one, as Takui has actually just teleported towards this top lane as well to see whether there was something more Fabulous. Wise to this potential dive onto him and will back away, knowing that the threat was there.
Can I just say, I love that we have a group in EMEA Masters with so many different regions competing so evenly against each other. NASR, if they take the win here, they'll be 1-1 with Team Geo, and what a moment that would be for them. It would bring us to that 4-way tie. Oh my word, that would be special. And quite tense for all of our teams. Baron on the table. We have seen a couple of Leandries, of course, built up for our mid laners as well. That adds to Baron damage. You can't really afford, especially with the Rumble on the table too, the Demonic Embrace, to leave that unwarded. There is one control ward in the back of the pit from Team Geo, which is going to get cleared right now. And Team Geo, you can't let this go dark.
And again, you've got second item transformation on that Muramana for the Ezreal as well. That was the old talking point for a long time.
He had his ult force as well, top side.
So he did.
He's got a lot of cooldown reduction between the Banshee's Veil, the boost, and the Leandri, so it's not going to be that long a cooldown, especially with the second rank of it available. But NASA, it does feel like they're just edging closer and closer towards the Baron start. They're grouping up here. It's dark.
That's all blue trinkets, all sweepers down, ult force from Takui. This will be a very dark Baron indeed, and Geo are going to be forced to come and contest. Over comes the Ezreal ult. They know it's been started. Whistle went over the wall. Immediately pulls back away, down to 6,000 HP. They pull away. They don't get a teleport out. Can't quite drag Geo into the fight they were looking for.
Now Dragon spawning as well, and a couple of those HP bars got chunked out, and Team Geo got their recess, particularly around these objectives. You need to have a back to make sure you've got your full fighting potential before an objective.
Whistle! Here we go! Finds a big engagement just before the rumble is there. Still, the equalizer's not bad. Ragnar trying to stay alive, but he's gone all out. That means he's got no resist to survive the barbecue he's been thrown into. Not quite incinerated down. Everyone's health bar's low, but not down. It is Geo with position in the river, so I wonder whether they're the ones that land up at Soul Point.
So no one dies, but Soul Point's going one way. But remember, the Kindred on the side of NASA also adds significant Baron damage. Geo, they're going to get caught as they move up towards that, thinking that maybe NASA has spotted it already. It's a dance between both of these objectives. I think Team Geo get themselves that Dragon for free.
Over they go. They're going to charm on Fat Fab. He gets a massive chunk on Takui, though. They're going to keep shoving through this mid lane. They're going to trade out Soul Point. Typhoon gets slowed by Linces. All the while, Mountain Dragon in the picture-in-picture slowly, oh so slowly being taken by Undome Jezu. But that's so much of his mana!
Yeah, that's the thing. That's exactly what I was looking at. I was thinking, okay, Jezu's taking that, but he's not going to be able to fight around the Baron if it comes to it. You still have the Kindred ult around this Baron too. So if you jump into the pit, NASA could play it slow, pull the ult, stop the Baron from dying, and try and take the fight.
They can certainly try. Linces has got flash, can try and get in, knocked away from Patch. Baron is secured. They take that one to NASR. Patch may well likely be the sacrificial goat, or cow in this case. Typhoon jumped on, gets over the wall, flash away from Scorpion, will surely die, cannot pull the feathers fast enough. They get two dead, and one of them is, of course, that AD carry who would have been very instrumental in terms of resetting the map after that point. Either way, they blow their flash, they blow their ultimate, so they're going to be much less safe when they're back onto the map. Gold advantage still in the favor of NASA, but we still have Soul Point for the side of Team Geo. We are in for a fairly back and forth late game. All things said and done. You look at the power on both sides. This is not a done deal. It was a very interesting sequence of events. A lot of difficult strings being pulled from both teams to try and force their oppositions into awkward moments. We saw the pull away from one side of the river to the other, the Baron start, the Dragon kind of one-man attempt from Jezu that was secure, but at the cost of his mana. And in the end, it is a Baron to the side of NASR at the cost of a couple, but they are still down that Soul Point. They need to get value out of this, they need to get map control out of this to ensure the next Dragon is theirs.
Takui doing some fine damage, topping the damage shots with the Leandri's Ari. Turns out you can do that when you've got something besides that.
That sounds just a hint of bitterness.
It's just a little bit of that in there. It looks like he's maybe going towards something like the Death Cap third item. That would be a large amount of investment in terms of gold to go towards it, but he's still 2k up. The only person on his team with an individual gold advantage. That damage he's been doing in this game so far, that will have to continue to be so. And particularly, as we said, if they can kill one of these invulnerable targets that can go into their ults like Kindred or Lissandra before they get to do so, before they press that R button, that could be the turning point that the LFL team needs.
Fab as well, interacting with this top laner who has been so lauded by various pundits. When we were talking to some of the LFL casters, they were saying this is the guy to watch. Whistle might be in danger here. Takui looking for an engage. The exhaust comes down. Whistle's still in danger. Needs to try and find a way out of here. It's going to get all out. It will finally use the ultimate on his own, but that should just means he's dead. The equalizer used on the other side, and Whistle left out to dry. Nowhere to go. Goes over the wall, but Takui just goes on a rampage.
Takui reads the mind game. Knows that likely the claw will go over the wall towards his team, so he will pick up another couple of stacks for his Dark Seal. 10 stacks now. Very strong and takes away part of the pushing power from NASR. They're teleporting in. How many teleports is it? It's both of them.
Here we go,
no Spirit Rush now. Ragnar, no ult either.
Here we go. They want to try and make this one. Camilius down to half HP and slowed. Not going to find the easiest time on the engage. Linces a ways back as well with no flash, so no real end game with that one. They force the retreat away. It means this Baron doesn't actually get much value at all.
No, it doesn't, and that will be a little bit awkward from the side of NASR. They would have loved to.
They've got to teleport themselves. Just saying.
They could do, but I don't know whether they can do it without the equalizer, without the Lissandra ultimate up right now.
Pretty difficult, but now they can shove on in. Now they can try and maybe get this tier 2. It wouldn't be with the Baron itself per se, but they can still force a bit of a siege here. A little bit easier to clear there from side of Geo.
Takui is just about to get his ult back up. I want to see what he's got on this recall if he manages to complete it. Of course, he just picked up some kill gold as well. NASR still continuing, as you said.
Oh, fabulous! They catch the rumble. He's so much of the gold lead. Whistle's gone golden, but he's under the tower. This is an absolute disaster for NASR. Now you can run them down with impunity. Team Geo get absolutely everything they wanted.
Disaster for the TCL representative. Team Geo punish under that inner turret. We were saying, hey, you know, maybe without those ultimates before that point, it's a little bit dangerous. Gonna go back to a replay of what happened just here. Whistle gets spotted on the ward, and of course they know that they're likely hanging over the wall there anyway. What the heck happens to catch out Fabulous here, though?
He just walks forwards.
He walks forwards, and those minions can't save you from something like a Sidrani ult. Patch had to be the one tanking. He had the ult. He potentially could have cleansed that one off. It's a momentary mistake, but that is the level of punish that can come in from our best teams at the EMEA Masters.
And there were 3 down. Big moment, and suddenly a game that was looking like NASR might be able to get something done with that. Back to a game that's slightly in the favor of Geo, and of course they've got Soul Point in 30 seconds till that one spawns. That could be Soul for them to deal with.
Could. And we started this game saying, hey, did feel like mid-jungle snowball could be very important from the side of Geo, and then we said, okay, the Rumble and Desire, they've actually got some gold in return, so it's a little bit more even than just that because of the laning advantages that they've had. And we come into this late game now, some of those side lane advantages have gone back to even. In that bot lane, Scorp and Jezu, they're just about even, and it really is actually come back down to that mid lane as to what could be the decider. Death got picked up for Takui. Huge damage now, even on basic combos. You eat a Charm, you eat a half your HP minute.
Ragnar goes forwards, big chunk, but it's Patch who reads all of that CC, and the equalizer 3-man pull! It's brutal! Camilius is down, Ragnar burned down to about 25% of his HP. Does not have teleport. Takui goes over the wall though, trying to get Fabulous. Jezu on a rampage. Patch now in danger, and his ult still running. Just about goes in, gets another big pulverize, but he just can't do enough damage. Typhoon hopping forwards, trying to get more autos. Takui running away, now on the wrong end of a mounting dread. Ragnar tries to get some more. Where's he going? He's got the Lambda's fight. Ragnar does get the pull, but can't get him outside the Lambda's fight. Whistle. Tetris trying to get towards Jezu. Now a 1v1 with the AD carries. Jezu over the wall, trying to stay alive. They can't do enough. Typhoon alive. Just off vision. My God, what is going on? 3v2. Scorth needs to back away, but remember, this would be Soul for Geo if they can get it.
He is starting to tick up, but I think that Jezu can. That's absolutely true. But with heck, who's still alive? Right. Okay. So you have no smite for the side of Team Geo, but they don't have Typhoon on the air side of the map for them to worry about it. So Mountain Soul is claimed. Fantastic engagement TCL, it looked like at the start of it, but at the end, Geo win out the extended fight. They win the Dragon. Elder is now on the table if things extend to that point. We are at 30 minutes. Gold is within 1,000. There is a Soul on one side, and close fights like this are doing absolutely no wonders to the heart rates of TCL and LFL fans. This engage coming from Whistle is almost it. I think if they catch Jezu in that engage, I think maybe that's the difference, but it's a couple of pixels off. Takui, similarly, still has his Banshees up. He's still got the Leandri's build with the Death Cap on top of it too, which means he's doing significant damage. You can't walk up like this. You could maybe do that into a lower damage Ari build. Not this one. Takui very nearly cleared up. I think very fortunately for NASR, they kind of managed to bail out the rest of their front line as Takui's burning them down to stop another reset coming.
He began to wonder there for a second. They go on in. And Stoppable goes Ragnar. Big pulverized equalizer. It's going to go. Takui has to run away. Down to about half HP. They get Camilius. But again, last time, Jezu and Takui were so hard to shut down. The range advantage, the slipperiness, so hard to deal with.
Whistle clean as his namesake. Just about gets out. 0 and 6, but still finding the engages. Sometimes you just have that ability to do so. Sometimes the champion just needs to land the CC. Sometimes you need to make that one play. It's not the damage, which is one-shotting everyone, but the lockup has been so important. Typhoon now on 6 marks, doing a lot of work.
Patch gets onto Jezu, but it's a very swift arcade shift over the wall. Nearly do they get the Ezreal. That Hex Flash was inches away from glory. Patch tagged by the True Shot Barrage, but doesn't fall down.
He is alive by the skin of his teeth, and you can see again how close this is. Do we need to remind everyone again? NASR win this. We have more games today. If Geo win, no tiebreakers. It wouldn't be the 4-way tiebreakers in this situation. Takui now waiting out on the flank, hanging on around on vision. If they can get the charm on the right target, that could be the play which wins them the game.
Whistle is on the wrong end of Takui. Jezu goes godlike. That combo is brutal. Baron started equalizer though in front of the pit, brings Jezu down to half of his HP. Patch still didn't get to back. Patch still at 5% HP. Baron still being taken by Team Geo unless Typhoon can find a miracle flank.
And even though this Lysandra has no kills to their name, you can see how powerful and how important they are. Typhoon doesn't have flash, but might be able to hop over. Spotted.
They missed the ult. Typhoon still in danger. Takui's got ult running, trying to get on top of this Kindred. Will not quite land it. Over the wall they go. Tamilius will chase after the Kindred. They get the Baron, and Typhoon will likely be a sacrifice here as well. They keep him out of the pit. They just can't get anything more. Was that a mark? I think it might have been. So at least Typhoon gets something. He's going to do halfway and actually gets to run on out of there. Well played by Typhoon.
That Trinity Force giving him the extra movement speed, stacking up over time. NASR then cross-mapping the other side too. I think Team Geo realized the amount of time it would take to hunt down the Kindred would be just a little bit too long. Team Geo, that's a very important win for them. They get themselves that Baron, but this is an entirely dark side of the map. If they get caught here, it could start cutting that Baron play short.
Be very careful, Ragnar. You've got no flash, but you've got an ultimate. Where, oh where, a NASR, Geo? That's what you've got to be asking yourself the question. Ragnar, slowly pushing this wave, slowly trying to see whether they can find an angle. They're just resetting.
They're resetting. I think they see that.
Oh God, is Patch going to get out of it? Yes, he does.
See it. Because effectively, if it's an isolated champion, sure, they take that kill. But the problem is, with Team Geo on the same side of the map, they wouldn't be able to retreat. So they choose wisely in that situation not to follow that play onwards. It is so close. LFL or TCL, four-way tiebreaker with 3 tiebreaker games or none. Mobstar Riders would be sent through if Team Geo win. Unicorns of Love would be knocked out if they were to do so, as well as would NASR, team on your very screens at this point.
You can feel it. Tension in the air. Jezu from 1.5k down to about up 100 gold and looking very happy here at 4M to Bloodthirst, just completed by Scorch, means he's at a similar point of power. Those 80 carry duels have been very tight indeed. 5-0-8 though is Takui. This Ahri is monstrous this game. Siege continues.
So, I think we're really waiting to see if Whistle can find another angle. Has Cleanse this time, no Exhaust or an Ignite. Has himself Flash, so engage!
But it's not onto the best targets. Linces was the engage option. Scott Patch, who's now in a dangerous position. Charm onto Typhoon, just about stays alive now. Takui, out of ult charges. Camilius will body block for the Ahri, but that means the Ahri's not in the fight. Jezu taken low, down into the GA. Scorch goes up into the air. The Magnus Storm afterwards, but it's a good Lambert fight to keep all the members alive. The feathers come flying. Camilius gets burned. Ragnar goes down, but Nobby Rory gets a monstrous Q3. Takui doesn't have any ult charge remaining. Flash away from the charm. It's a 2 for 2.
It's 2 for 2. Defender's advantage means that at least the home guard and health will be able to be regen from the side of NASR. But Team Geo, they take some very important kills, they take some very important ultimates, and they're going to keep pushing with the Baron. Takui is still alive, still full HP, has himself a Void Staff as he teleports in, and Charm lands. That could be NASR's tournament over.
Third item for Kindred. They've got the LVR. That will help get through some of this mountain shielding and resists. They don't get more than a third of the next star yet, but Typhoon is on the wrong end of a lot of that damage. Patch jumped onto. Patch destroyed. Typhoon back to the base. Nexus turret 1 down. Nexus turret 2 is about to be sieged. Jezu gonna start happening at Team Geo. Break the hearts of so many fans around the ERL system. They will deny us tiebreakers. It was a group of death as the LFL seed will swiftly destroy the hopes and dreams of 2 of our remaining teams.
It was not to be for our plucky Unicorns, and NASR, not even Kindred, could save them at the death of that game. Death comes for us all. It comes from the TCL seed in that game. It's tense, and it's heartbreaking, don't get me wrong. I think that Team Geo winning that, a lot of people will be happy with that, but so many teams waiting outside of that. On the other side of that coin, well, all we can give them now is commiserations.
I think we've got to give serious credit over to that mid-jungle there from Team Geo, who played a phenomenal game. That Ahri, that Sejuani combo early did so much work. I know that it gives you so much play.
I never want to see an Everfrost again in my life.
Did a lot of work.
Look at this. That's over 1,000 DPM. And it's not even like it's into the hugest HP builders in the game either. I think that's Takui. You can see the way that he's positioning in regards to saying, look, I can just tag someone and then the magic burns on them. And actually, then I can pull my ultimate to see if I can burn them down for a reset. It's a different kind of positioning. It's very different from the kind of initiating style, but you have initiation on this team. You have a frontline, and Takui really making it work. This is going to be a strange shout out as well. Whistle obviously had no kills to their name that entire game and was forced down really early. I think the Lissandra was really core to the fights which were won for the side of NASR. KDA is sometimes a very misleading stat. I like to say that, stats don't lie, but they can kind of lie by omission. He was often putting himself in harm's way. This one, of course, was just a very good play by the side of Takuri and Liz as well. Everyone knew that this play was coming in terms of the mid-jungle 2v2. As the game went on, I really do think that Whistle kept things close. And close it was the entire game. Scored, playing around the minions, using the cannon minion too. Jesse, we know how good this guy is. Scored, showing him what's what in this, at least in this 1v1. This continued to be so close throughout the game.
It did, and eventually Jezu became a monster himself, right? From being a bit of a non-factor to being absolutely untouchable. And that was part of the problem, was Whistle was finding phenomenal engages on these. Lissandra also looked at what it looked like, but they just couldn't quite secure the important people, Takui and Jezu. Absolute nightmares to get on top of.
And I think particularly for LFL versus TCL. TCL, the new region on the block. We knew they were going to be strong. We knew that Istanbul Wildcats coming in were going to be strong in their own, as it turns like a tournament contender. The thing is, they had to kind of displace the LFL to do that. For the LFL to take a win over the Turkish team here, I think that's very important for them and kind of like quite an emotive level. For them to walk away and say, look, we are still very strong teams. We are the contenders in this group. We were talking to Camillus earlier, right, in terms of, how many changes do you think you need to do to be a tournament contender? And he said, actually, not that many, realistically.
Mindset stuff.
It's a mindset thing, just taking that extra step back. I think they managed to do that this game. I think that particularly Takuri, like I said, on the Ahri, building damage, took that carry responsibility in a way that so few Ahris do, which endlessly frustrates me, but you can see how powerful
Not that I've heard this from you a couple of times, but sometimes it's nice
Sam,
to be
I have watched this
vindicated.
champion do 0 damage for 2 years.
I have heard you watch this champion for multiple years. I don't really get to avoid it. But over we come to the full group standings. Group A's, we can see Wildcats GTZ coming out in first and seconds. Matchco and Carmine Core coming out of Group C. Group T, it's Geo coming out first after that game. And of course, Movistar Riders on the head-to-head coming out second. Group B, though, is still a little bit more interesting.
That it is. There is a tiebreaker for first place in Group B. What that means is there will be a tiebreaker game in Group B. There won't be one here. So if you want to watch that, and I would heavily suggest it, Prime League versus LFL, again, 2 regions which have had success across the history of EMEA Masters, you're going to have to head over to ESLOL on Twitch to go see the round of that break.
Not quite yet. You can't go quite yet. You've got to wait for the end of this stream first. You can't leave us behind, guys. Don't. I mean, that'd be rude.
I'd be lonely.
I
actually need...
I wouldn't be lonely, but I'd have to deal with him by himself, and
it's a very difficult situation.
He's going to be like just talking about Ahri builds for solid.
This is one of the good days, folks. This day and yesterday, Seiken yesterday, we had Takuri today. It's an LFL.
Fantastic.
I've always liked LFL Ahri.
That's true.
I'd say, we had Aika, who was also another one.
He was very good
too. I think that this region in particular has produced so many good mid laners in general. But when they're on playmakers, on the likes of Silas or the likes of Ahri LeBlanc, it's even more fun to watch them.
Indeed, and I think we do have an LVM support player of the day that I think we need to head on over to, assuming I've read what production want from me, right? But we'll see what it is. I don't actually know what the play is, so I'll be curious to see what it is.
Yeah, we're left guessing.
Oh boy.
So this would be one of our key engages. Every ultimate in the sun thrown onto them. Rakan comes in, and this was so beautiful to watch. You're a Civil. You expect to be safe. Not from players like this when you have to tank up 3 ultimates. 4 even. There was a culling.
I mean, queue up Disturbed because everyone goes down with that quickness. It is so good. And in fairness, it was a phenomenal game from the Rakan in general. Remember that kill under tower at level, what was it, 2, 3?
Yeah, it was. Well, anyway, it's just the sound of silence for that team now.
No, I don't know enough Disturbed.
What other songs can I think about? A lot of them are covers. That doesn't really help, but either way, that we have covered the entirety of this group stage ourselves on terms of this group, Group D. This was the group of death. It came down to the very last game of the day as to whether everyone's tournament lives were still on the line.
Yeah, it was. But alas, our dreams of tiebreakers die alongside the dreams of Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition and NASR. And they fought valiantly. The group was so very desperately tight. But in the end, it was Team Geo. It was Movistar Riders that will emerge from this group of death victorious and bloodied. But that does mean from myself and Nightmare, it is us done for the day. It is us done for group. Don't forget to head on over to ESLOL to go watch out that tiebreaker to find out who's coming out of Group B. But we will be done here. Until then, guys, and until the quarterfinals, goodbye.
Never one
without the other. I needed my mask. Where's it gone?
büyük gelişim değil. Ama bu defa onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Venom her şey bitti. Çok geç kaldı bu savaşa. Venom The mythical beasts fall. Wildcats roar.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache.
Napotkałem na swojej drodze wiele trudności, jednak tym razem nic mnie nie powstrzyma. ¿Qué le demostrar al resto? Que es voluntad brillar.
On vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.